The stereotype of the dumb jock has been around since before even sports were even played in a school setting. Um, that, in my eyes, is false. Student athletes spend a lot of time working on eligibility in order to play. Um, so, my thesis would be that student athletes do better academically than non athletes. Um, I've personally been a student athlete who put a lot of time and effort into schooling um, in order to keep my grades up, be to class on time, make sure everything's turned in right, so that you're eligible to play. I mean, you'd hate to miss a game because of it. Um, Throughout the next few minutes, I will be talking about the benefits of being a student athlete and why student athletes do better in the classroom or academically than a non athlete. Um, so, first, we will start off talking about some of the benefits. A study done by the University of Kansas analyzed academic performance of athletes versus non athletes. Um, that showed that the participation in school athletics associated with better education outcome as far as graduating on time and stuff like that. It also showed that athletes had a higher percentage of school attendance, so they were there more often. They were always there on time. No skipping classes, no taking vacation days. They're always there. They had higher graduation rates, as far as graduating on time and stuff like that. They also had lower dropout rates in grades 9 through 12. Actually, the whole study was done through grades 9 through 12, so that would be your high school years when there's a lot of people playing sports. It's something to do while your buddies are doing it. A big benefit of being a student athlete is that it teaches you how to balance everything. You have to balance your schooling, your personal life, family, dedicated time to homework, and you're spending hours at practice every week after class. Um, in a article called "The Balancing and Benefits of Being a College Student Athlete" by And Go Sports, um, they stated that there is an overwhelming amount of positive impact that the experience of being a college athlete rewards. The life lessons, level of responsibility, skills learned, and connections made are proof of getting the very most out of your athletic career, which is very true. You make a lot of connections through the coaches. The coaches strive for student athletes to get good grades. I know a lot of colleges, they call them study tables. The players come in and just work with some of the coaches if they're struggling. The coaches want them to play, so they're going to make sure they get good grades. Um, so really, playing uh, a sport while going to school, being a student athlete, is much like a job. If you don't do your job, you're not going to get paid. That relates a lot to this. If you don't get your good grades, you don't show up to class, you're not going to play. Um, so a lot of that comes down to or makes the reason of why student athletes are better in the classroom than non-athletes most of the time. Um, Being a student athlete, there's a required GPA if you want to play. In high school, the WIA rule is to have a 2.0 grade point average. If you don't have that, you're not playing. The NCAA is at 2.3. And there are certain gives and takes depending on certain things that have to be okayed by the WIA or NCAA. Ryan Stegall did kind of an assignment that I found online about this, and it was called "A Study in Grade Point Average of Athletes versus Non-Athletes," and that showed a lot about the reasons why they have higher grade point averages, and that comes a lot from because they want to play. You know, Student athletes don't get paid like professionals. they're playing for the love of the sport. They want to be out there. They want to make sure their grades are up, and they have all of the connections like we talked about before. Um, a big part of school athletics is academics. Athletes must pass a certain amount of classes in order to play. Different schools have different rules, along with the NCAA or WIAA. The average is about 3 credits, or that would be about 6 classes in most schools. You do have to have, like we talked about, a certain GPA. The WIA sets a minimum and the NCAA sets a minimum, but the schools themselves can set their own. We don't want kids playing if they have less than a 2.5, even though it's actually a 2.0. So the rules can vary, and good attendance is a big one. If you miss class or miss a practice, um, you're not going to play, and if you miss class, you can't go to practice. So there's just stuff like that, and so in conclusion, we talked about the benefits and why. So a big benefit from being a student athlete is you're learning the life lessons through leadership and working as a team. Um, Good stuff like that. Being a student athlete has a lot to do with your grades because it really pushes you to keep them up so that you can play. That's all.